All right, let's start talking about taking notes for your I-Bet paper. Note taking and putting things together is really one of the hardest things about writing a paper. Bringing lots of different resources into one cohesive document is really tough. And that's whether it's a scientific paper or a research paper for English or even work and papers that you'll do in college and graduate classes. No matter what the subject is, no matter what level of schooling you're in, this is higher order thinking. It's not easy, but it can be a really cool process, and you can come up with something really, truly, uniquely your own if you do this well. Now, first of all, let me tell you before I tell you anything about taking notes on note cards that this was not the method that I was taught first. And when a teacher wanted me to do this method, I did it because, that was just the kid I was. But I really didn't like it. But I've come to be a real believer in this process because I've used it and it works. It works for me. So the first thing is you get a bunch of index cards. They can be all one color or lots of different colors. I like to use all one color, but the important thing is that you have a way to distinguish your different sources from each other. So I use letters, A for the first source, B for the second source, and so on. You could also use colors if your sources are going to be pretty minimal. Once you start getting above, 5 sources, color coding isn't really, it's not practical. The key thing, though, is you want to keep track of what color or letter goes with which source. And so here's how this goes. As you read source A, you're going to put one idea on each note card. So there's one idea there, and do that as you go on. You can even add a keyword or two at the top, kind of like a hashtag, to help you find this later. Do the same thing as you're reading source B and source C and source D. So instead of writing a whole bunch of notes in the margin, you're writing your notes already paraphrased in your own words onto these index cards. As you're doing your research and you're writing down those keywords, you might start to see some themes or trends in those resources that you're reading. So maybe one of your papers presents an idea that's opposed to another paper you've read, while two of the sources are fairly inconclusive. So you could take your note cards and group them accordingly. Move that down there. Keep A separate, and you've got C and D as the inconclusive sources. Most likely, though, there's going to be a lot of different interesting points emerging in the different articles. So you're not so much going to see each article be distinct from the other articles. You're going to need to combine pieces of each article to craft a better argument. So you might need these two sources. So now you have these grouped by topic instead of by paper. And so you can put them, and this is what really sold me on note cards. You can take your groups, you can put each group into a logical order, stack them up, and just write your paper one note card at a time. Your facts and the things you found interesting from those papers that you've already now put in your own words are now grouped together by theme, And so you don't have to hunt down your notes in the margins. You don't have to look for citations. You've got a bunch of ideas that already make sense in your head, and now they're in order. This allowed me to just enjoy writing as a process. You start to blend these ideas into a cohesive paragraph. You get transition words in there. Depending on what type of paper you're doing, you might keep it very factual. Literature reviews tend to be just a review of literature. You're not adding a lot of your own commentary. But sometimes you're adding commentary as you go, especially in a research paper. You're adding your own thoughts to the body of research. Seriously, this is a simple idea, but as you get into more complicated tasks, this can be so helpful. You might have 75 index cards that you can just seamlessly transition into a 5 or 7 page paper someday. This really, note cards were a terrible experience for me at first, but this, it seems totally sappy, but it's changed my life. Like, I was that kid that wrote down, least favorite subject, English, and now I'm so passionate about it. I'm the one that people, friends come to look over their papers and things. It's, basically, don't let an overwhelming amount of highlighter and notes in the margins ruin your life. Take control of your writing. This is one way to do it.